All right, welcome to Jeff's late night. And Go Hair is going to read, and here we go.
Okay. Dear folks of Baba, many of us are reluctant to get near the subject of obedience, not even with a 10-foot pole. And I'm sure we all have many war stories that could be told. I have found here at the center that this subject is one of the least discussed topics among Baba lovers. Why is that? Probably because it is so personal, and to talk about our struggles involved in trying to obey Baba leaves us very vulnerable. And yet, obedience is central to this life with Baba. He holds out to us the highest ideals: forgiveness, honesty, freedom from worry, empathy for others, generosity, patience, and cheerfulness. Oops, I lost it. Where am I?
Oh, you have
I
to
think,
back up a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right. A little higher. Okay, to name a few. And it is profoundly challenging to live such a life. For some, obedience can seem like an external and uncomfortable constraint on their behavior. And each one has his or her own personal definition of what obedience means to them and what they are capable of at any given time. Most Baba lovers say in retrospect that even though Baba's stress on obedience can sometimes seem like an imposition in the short term, it has led ultimately to an increasing experience of inner freedom. Oops.
Sorry,
Okay.
it keeps changing on me.
Yeah. Inner freedom. Okay, let me see if I can pull it up on my.
Higher up there.
Yeah.
I made it bigger to make it easier, and look what I did.
Okay.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
I have, okay. We are a mixture of love and selfishness. And so to disobey, so to speak, comes with the territory of being human. In my own particular definition of obedience, I take it that living from the loving side of myself is obedience. And when I go against love and am selfish, I take that as a form of disobeying my deeper self. In my earlier years with Baba, I had to struggle, like most of us, with lust, greed, anger, criticalness, fear, and all the other selfish inclinations. And when I went against doing the loving thing, I would have to struggle to get back on my feet. That struggle was for me an inevitable and essential part of leading the spiritual life. In those years, I would sometimes beat myself up for falling short of my ideals. And luckily, Baba was always so forgiving and compassionate, like a most loving mother. In times when it took a long time to get back on track, I came to realize that my self-pity and guilt would only postpone my being loving again. And so my heavy mood would only continue my self-centered focus. Over time, it became vitally important to discern what I was actually capable of in living up to Baba's ideals. For example, it was obvious that I wasn't able to live an anger-free life, but I was at least capable of expressing anger a little less. It became clear for my own well-being during certain periods of my life, especially in my youth, to know what my next baby step was in living up to Baba's highest ideals. And Baba even sees to it that following him is not easy. Why is that? He has described his method with us as 2 steps forward, 1 step back. When asked why 1 step back, he said that in going 1 step back, our pride of progress is being annihilated as we go along. All this that I've written hopefully will stimulate discussion of this sometimes uncomfortable topic. How would you define obedience? What have been your struggles? How do you recover when you fall short of what you feel Baba is asking? Do you feel Baba's support through your struggles? Do you have compassion for yourself? Do you have a healthy balance of self-acceptance and self-improvement? Do you ever feel Baba is disapproving? Do you sense sometimes that you have projected the disapproval of your parents, teachers, and others onto Baba? Baba has said, obedience seeks the pleasure of the beloved. Have you, over the years, become more sensitive to what would please him? Has it been a process of refinement? And how would you describe that? Do you feel that Baba's emphasis on obedience is really in our own best interests? Have you found that Baba has lovingly turned your weaknesses and shortcomings into humility as well as empathy for others? In his love, Jeff.
Wow. You know, on Tuesday morning, about 5:30, I had my computer in front of me, and I wasn't really thinking about what kind of topic to come up with, but I found myself typing the challenge of obedience, on my thing, and I thought, oh no, not this. No, well, this could open a can of worms. But somehow the email just wrote itself, and I tried to tone it down a little bit. So because we have these associations of these religious orders that you have to obey, and that kind of obedience often just doesn't have the love in it. I mean, it's kind of your superiors are telling you to do this and do that, and there's coercion and even fear. But with Baba, it's quite different. You're obeying love. And then a couple days back, I thought, oh my God, Baba, I'm probably going to have to tell my story of my struggle with this whole subject. So I won't do that now, but later on, I will do that. But first, I think just to kind of get us in the mood, I think Ronnie has got a song on obedience. There's another one that Jamie Newell wrote about it's expedient to be obedient. It's a very good one, but I wish if someone can bring that up on their computer, it might be nice to have it to play it for us along the way.
I can't take credit for these lyrics. This is from Baba, so
Okay.
I just provided a tune for it. And if you are muted, you might be able to catch the chorus that happens a few times, and you can sing along with me. It's a pretty simple chorus. If you'd like to give it a shot, no one will know because you'll be muted, right? Okay. When one honestly desires, one never fails. Not one, but many questions crop up in the mind and will continue to do so. There is only one way out, only one remedy. Obey the master. Obey the master. Obey the master. Obey. That will answer all your questions. That will lead, guide you, and make you understand what is in fact ununderstandable. There is only one way out, only one remedy. Obey the master. Obey the master. your problems will be resolved. Hafiz says, whatever the master says, obey him without asking why or wherefore of it. There is only one way out, only one remedy. Obey the master. Obey the master. Obey the master. Obey. There is only one way out, only one remedy. Obey the master. Obey the master. Obey the master. Obey.
Thank you, Ronnie. So does anybody want to venture out on on this subject? Whatever whatever
I feel
strong.
like if we should be auctioneers, get somebody to raise their hand. Can we start at 5?
I know, like I say, when I first this occurred to me, I thought, oh my God, it's not an easy thing.
I have a couple of things, Jeff.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So kick it off here. So one of the things is you were talking about 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. Well, I've heard something like that, except I kind of thought it was almost the opposite. It was 1 step forward and 2 steps backward, which, because of what Bob had told us, is not that much of a difference. Because really, Bob had promised that if we were to take a step toward him, one of our little baby type steps, or any step, even if it was a nice big bold step, he would take 10 of his steps, which I'm guessing are pretty good sized steps, toward us, which, if you do the math, even if we were to take 1 step back or 2 steps back or anything like that, we're going to be closer to Baba. And so that's just a little mathematical thing that makes me feel happy to know about. And then the other thing is, I recall that somebody had asked Erich, how should we obey Baba? Baba is not here to give us any orders like he was when you were with him. So how shall we do it? We can't do it the way you do it. And Erich said, well, you're not really quite right about that. In a sense, we're in the same boat. And the way he explained why we're in the same boat is that when Baba would give instructions, it was almost in the same vein as when he would tell somebody to go sweep the floor over there, or go mail the letters, or go find out if there's been a telegram, or any of these kinds of duties that he would give out. Now, he wanted us to take care of our worldly duties. And so he's giving us these duties all the time. It's just a matter of our not shirking them, right? But what Erich also said was the real obedience is that obedience that comes when he's out there taking care of one of these duties. Every moment is doing the duty in a way that would please Baba. You could do the duty and still not please Baba in the way you go about doing it. At least you could feel that way, or he might make you feel that way. So it really is that we always are have opportunities to try to please him, and that I think we could say was real obedience.
Yeah, beautiful. Well said. I like your mathematics. I mean, but at that rate, we're really not going to be going back too much, stepping back. Anyone else? I mean, Tony is usually, oh, wait, oh, yeah, okay, good. Marta.
Yeah, I wanted to just remark about something before I spill my guts. And that is, I remember that you said, and I forget if Eric said it, that you said Eric said it, or that Baba forgives us before we even ask for forgiveness. Right?
Yeah, what I asked Erich, I mean, just to clarify, I asked Erich,
Yeah, thank you.
what was Baba's forgiveness like to you? And he said, when you do something unkind and selfish, in the conventional sense, people make this petition to God and they keep making that petition until they feel that they've been forgiven. But he found with Baba, when you did something unkind and selfish, the remorse you felt for doing that is the sign that you've already been forgiven. So that the remorse you
That's a little different. Yeah,
Not the
remorse
guilt.
needs to be there.
Not the guilt. The guilt is up in the head. The remorse is at the heart level.
Yeah, well, guilt is something that I came through, had a lot from the Catholic Church when I was young, right? And sin and venial sin and mortal sin and all that. So when I decided I was done with the church because it was too black and white, I think I must have done something with the guilt, because I have never felt guilt with Baba. And I also realized, looking back, I was thinking about this today, about obedience in Baba and all the years I've been with Baba, or Baba's had me. In the old days, I don't ever remember thinking that I was doing anything wrong with Baba, even though I wasn't obeying him. And I realized I never was thinking about obeying Baba. I just loved him. I just loved Baba. And it was in a lot of different degrees. I mean, since I've been 18 years old, it started in one way and it's here now. But I realized that Baba has always been very patient. I've never felt like I was bad. And Baba, for me, has used pain and suffering and broken heart to get mileage out of me. That's how I've learned with my Baba. And I've made decisions, but I've made decisions consciously. Baba, I love you, but I'm not going to obey you on this because I feel fill in the blank, okay? And then I would make mistakes and I would spend years in pain. But I don't feel I have a lot of regret until the last 4 years since the pandemic and we've all been together. Then I started to have this whole new concept about obedience to Baba and pleasing Baba. But I also have to say that it's kind of not fair because I'm older. And when you're young, you have all of this incredible juice going and looks and chemistry. And, I want to go here and do this and blah, blah, blah. But now, it's kind of like, I've been there, I've done that, forget it. It's like, I'm just, in Baba's love and happiness and joy with all of you. So it's kind of like, I really don't take a lot of credit for obeying in any way, because I think I've kind of burned out a lot of stuff just through the years, But Baba's always been there, and I've never felt Baba was mad at me or angry. I feel that I've disappointed him and then I just regret it and do better. So, which I think is really, I enjoy that kind of relationship God, not having him be, pointing a finger or making me feel less than anything but his divine child that he loves.
Beautiful. Way.
Oh, Go Here is clapping. Yay. Go Here.
Kathy, you said it beautifully.
Very
we
well said.
We
Very
got-
well
yeah,
said.
Thank you,
Next,
Go Here.
We got another Catholic now online.
Tony,
Tony.
Well, I'm not going to be speaking as a Catholic tonight. I really didn't think I would have anything to say on this, but something did come up, and particularly with displeasing Baba. Around 90, I've probably mentioned this here before. Around 1994, I became aware of a book called A Course in Miracles, and when I was just skimming through it, everywhere I landed, I heard Baba speaking, and at this point, I feel he dictated that book incognito. And so when I read it, I've told you this, I say, when I read it aloud, I say, Baba as Jesus is saying blah, So I was really into that course and studying it. And there's a workbook at the end. And they're basically a type of meditation each day of the year for 365 days. And I was doing it pretty, in fact, I did it twice, 2 years. And so it was the afternoon. I decided I was going to take my 15 minutes quiet time, whatever, study the lesson and do the inner work. It's all wonderful. It's about forgiveness. It's very powerful. Changed my relationship with Baba way, way for the better. But there were some friends who were going to India, and I was going to be meeting them at the airport. And I thought, but I have time to do this. And when I finished, I got in the car, and there was a little bit of traffic or whatever, and I get to JFK, and it's clearly past the time. And I get in there, and it's too late. They're gone. And I think at the time, I think it was Theus and what's his name? Who takes the pictures? Who took all those beautiful pictures of Baba? So many.
Fredericks? Somebody Fredericks?
No,
No.
it's
No?
Wayne Coates? Coates?
Coat.
Win Coates.
Wendell?
Coates,
Wendell?
Win Coates, and someone else. And I got back in my car to drive home, and I could see Baba in my mind's eye, fiercely angry. And later I saw there's one picture of Baba that I've ever seen where he's angry, and it's chilling. And Baba, to say that Baba was displeased was like such an understatement. And I got immediately, he wanted me to be there. And there was someone, for whatever reason, that I was supposed to connect with before they went to India. And I had put doing this effing little meditation first. It's a wonderful meditation. I could have done it later. But I was not listening inside to what Baba wants. Or I hopefully I've gotten better at this now. But so that's how I think of obedience now, not as a morality thing or a list of shoulds or do's or don'ts. It's checking in. What does Baba want of me in this situation? Another example that came up was with the birthday celebration in New York in 2020. COVID hadn't hit yet. It was in the news. But Baba House, most of its members board members had gone. They died, had to take care of an ailing family member, moved to Myrtle Beach. There were hardly any left. And for whatever reason, the decision was made to say, come on, everybody, let's go down to Nashawans in South Jersey. And Baba was so clear within me that I want my birthday celebrated publicly in New York. And I didn't like the idea of taking charge of anything. So I said things online, I texted people, I tried, and it became clear it was not going to happen unless I did it. If I asked Zeke, I'm struggling with this. I know what Baba wants, but nothing's happening. And she quoted Gandhi saying, it seems to me you have to be the change you want to see in the world. And I got it. And Baba immediately, once I committed to doing it, every door opened, and it was an extraordinary Baba's presence was more than any almost any birthday celebration I'd been to at Vittorio's place in Greenwich Village. And I went home and I had like an inner vision of the United States at night with, lights, spots of light around the country. And coming from this spot in Greenwich Village, there was a big shaft of light going way up into the stars. And 2.5, 3 weeks later, we went into lockdown. COVID got so severe that we were all in COVID lockdown. And I'm convinced that as bad as it was in New York and as bad as it was in the country, that had we not gathered there and brought Baba's presence that day, it would have been much worse. And the other thing was clear to me. Baba had told Harry Kenmore that he'd given them instructions to hold public celebrations on his birthday, for his birthday and Silence Day. And that was an instruction to Kenmore. But when Kenmore died, the society kept doing it because it felt like this was Baba's wish. And when the society broke up or became too weird to function, Baba House in New York, without any other encouragement, began holding public celebrations. And internally, it was clear to me this was Baba's wish. And despite all my resistance, I finally just had to surrender and do it. So that's how I think of obedience, is tuning in what is his wish, regardless of how important it seems. That airport thing didn't seem important to me at all, but it was to Baba, So that's my take on obedience.
Beautiful, Tony. Yeah, beautiful.
We have Marion next.
Was Ron ahead of me?
Yeah, but Ron has just shared. You haven't shared yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. There's so much I could say, so I'm going to try to keep it short and simple. Thank you, Tony. Just as a PS to what Tony said, I was at that celebration, and it was a really, Tony has said everything about it. It was so guided. And that leads me into remembering that, because I just looked through my file, remember that date and when we were all there. And I equate obedience with bringing clarity, what Baba said, greater than love is obedience, greater than obedience is surrender. So, that's nice and kind of figure that out. But it was, I guess it was maybe a couple of years ago, I don't remember how long ago, I was pondering that and about obedience, that when Baba was in a body, masters in the body could order me around, if I was in him, if I was in his presence, could tell me do this and that. And he said, to be near me, you have to obey me, you had to obey him if you were around him in his body, in human form. So I asked Baba within a question. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like, well, if you're not here at a body, how do I obey you? And so I had gotten the answer of that, from the discourses, that we're here to balance the head and the heart leading the way. That is intuition, and that is God. So I know if I get too much frowning up here trying to figure things out in my life, I'm not trusting Baba. I'm trying to do it for my little human self. And I can feel it energetically. So I'm trained in core energetics and nonviolent communication, all kinds of energy work. So I can feel where it's stuck in my body and in my subtle body. So with that helped me a lot of remembering that, in that knowing the difference between overthinking and not confusing coming from my heart with emotions, because it's not. Love is a powerful force, that keeps the universe together. It's not an emotion. And so I know that when I am too much up in my head, to do something to open my heart so my heart can lead the way. And what I've learned is usually through something, the arts or nature or something where I can let go of something I love, like going into Central Park and taking a walk. I got my I don't have favorite trees. I don't like to use that because I love all the trees, but there's two that I especially hug and put the front of my body down and release feelings down into Mother Earth and bring in from Mother Earth and Father Sky this beautiful, beautiful energy. And so when I'm in nature, or if I'm drawing something or painting something, then I know I'm very present. I'm very present and allowing Baba to, I used to call it, he taps my right temple. Bing. That's where it comes in. The intuition comes in, usually my right temple. And therefore, I've let go of figuring out. And then it's like putting into action. I may, ponder like, well, what action do I take now in what Baba has given me the intuition about? So I still have to do thinking, head and heart, both. So that's as much as I'll say right now, because that now when I'm very feeling very over-identified with being a human being, a little human being, I feel all of that range of, pain and sadness and anger and hatred and all of that stuff. But something I read recently, so I'm not quoting it because I don't have it in front of me. I am paraphrasing. It was something I hadn't read before, but Bob has said it in other ways. It was something about when that comes up, the hatred, the anger, all that stuff, those human things. He said, just notice them, be present with them, give them to me, and they will transform. Just give it to me. So it's letting go of that beating myself, feeling bad, and all that stuff. So I let go of that as much as possible, because in my training that Baba led me to an organization where I did my transformational professional training, there was a saying that the first step of transformation is observation, not trying to be better, not trying to get rid of everything. Observe it. And that's really what Baba was saying. Notice it and hand it to me. So sometimes it takes courage. It takes some help. It takes, because there are things coming up from past lives and my early childhood here that still kind of scare me. But anyway, I'll end with that first step of transformation is observation and telling Baba, oh, I'm doing it again. I'm judging others again, whatever it is. So I'll end with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm reminded of a quote from Baba where he says, feelings and emotions are the creation of energy and mind. Love is the creation of the soul.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Emotions and feelings are, love comes from beyond
Yes.
emotions and feelings, but feelings can be a great vehicle for love, but it comes from beyond.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Ron, batter up.
I think I may have told this anecdote once before, but it seems to be fitting with the topic. Probably about 35 years ago, I was on I think I was on the board for our local Bay Area, California Bay Area Baba group, and I have a tendency to come up with unconventional ideas. They kind of, something strikes me, and I'm not that shy about bringing it up. So I came up with the idea that we should invite Bob and Jane Brown to come and do a concert for us. Come across the country. We'll pay for it, and then we'll charge an admission or something, and make it an event. It's not going to be a fundraiser. In fact, almost all of these things are fun losers, but nevertheless, this is what I came up with. And so they said, okay, well, they were very hesitant about this because they didn't really like to lose money on activities, but they said, well, if you want to do it, then you're in charge of it. And so I thought, well, we're just going to have a meeting, and these two people are going to sing. I'll pick them up at the airport, and I'll drop them back off at the airport. I mean, this is pretty simple. Yeah, I'll do it. So I agreed to be in charge of it. Now, I didn't ask anybody to help. I thought I could just, I'd be there, turn the lights on, set up the chairs. We rented a church in Albany, California, right near Berkeley, and so that's what I had in mind. I didn't think I didn't put a whole lot of creativity after I came up with the original idea. But what happened was somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, Ron, you're in charge of this thing. Who do you have doing the flowers?" And I said, "The flowers? Oh, well, let's see, is that something that you might like to do? He said, yeah, I'd be happy to do the flowers. So I said, that sounds very nice. Go right ahead, do that. And then somebody else came up and said, Ron, what are you having for refreshments? Somebody in charge of refreshments? And I said, well, were you thinking that you'd like to do that? And I said, they said, yeah, I'll do the refreshments. And then somebody came up to me and said, hey, Ron, are you going to do something different with the lighting? Because it was just basically fluorescent lights over the top, and they thought, no, that's no good. So I said, oh, you don't, okay, so you think there should be other lighting? And I said, oh, yeah, we want to make it really look nice. And I said, well, if you'd be happy to do it, then I think you should do it. So all those people really did a good job and made the place look nice. Everybody enjoyed it. And I can almost, I feel certain that if they hadn't approached me with that idea, I would have caught some big, I would have gotten criticized for an event that, was kind of shabby. At least that's what I felt was the case. So I was happy after this was over, but Baba had one more thing that he needed to tell me about this. And that was that I helped you out this time. The next time it's on you. If you're in charge, you got to do better. But, I helped you this time.
Right.
Richard,
Whoop.
can you
You're,
unmute?
I remember you saying that before, that story before, Ron, and this time I got a little more out of the message there. But I wasn't going to say anything because for me, this subject is really deep stuff, and Jeff was alluding to that. But I'm in terms of obedience and Baba, I'm barely a baby. I think I'm in gestation, but because this stuff to me is at the very core of Baba as the avatar and our relationship with him. Somehow he has come and plucked us out saying, I know you can do it. So I've got faith in you, but in my case, I was relating to some of the stuff Marta was saying. It's been in the past few years that I've begun to, through the degradation of aging, and more time on my hands, I've begun to look at myself through the lens of I think maybe, I don't know if it's a little bit Baba, probably is, but through the lens of who am I really and what have I done in my life in terms of blocking, blocking my connection with Baba. So a lot of emotional stuff. In the early days, a lot of anger, dysfunction. And I was a survivor, just survive, But things have really changed for me at this point in my life, and I've moved past I think a lot of that, but I still have a clear recollection of my sort of sins, we'll say. So I review those. It often reminds me of what the Svarg and Narg is, and Narg is where you start seeing these things. And I think if you're on the path a while, you do this before you die. I don't think you have to do it all after you die, but you start seeing these things and going like, oh my God, look at all the chaos I've created. Look at what I've done. Can't believe it. I mean, and it is, you can say it's shameful, but then again, it's not about morality. It's about a lack of awareness of God, not only in yourself, but in others and how you relate to others. And the heart, like, we all have somewhat of a bond here that goes beyond our personality. So we know that, but then there's some more personal bonds. If you really know each other, then you're going to know that you care about people in a certain way. Well, what I've learned about myself recently in the past few years, it kind of came to a head last summer, and I've told the story partly, but I made a deliberate effort to love this little soul, this dog girl dog, female dog, and I made every effort I could think of consciously as I could to make sure that I was relating to her as a soul, as a unique individual soul. And then all of a sudden, one day, she's gone. She's dead. Just laying there. That was it. It was over and up. And what occurred for me, and this was if it was directly from Baba, was that the loss was the loss of the opportunity to love. And I think I've spent a lot of my life with that loss. And it's come to me more clearly than ever that Baba gives us the greatest opportunity to love. But and I think that where you can follow that, you're being obedient to Baba. Yeah. But in my case, maybe in my next life, I'll have a more open or clean or tender heart or whatever it takes. I don't know what else to say about this, but it's like Marta said, my lessons from Baba have come from him showing me how oblique, the personality self can be to prevent that stream of Baba's love through your heart. But anyway, so somehow it started, but this group has been this is like coming here is like getting an injection of nutrients, every Sunday night. And then I can say, okay, well, I'm not only not alone in this, but there's much more to this than I could have ever known without you guys, without everyone here. Anyway, I've talked. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep. J-Bob.
Richard, you made you used two words that sounded like they were Dutch, Farfenlagen.
Oh, Nargensvarg. Those are Baba's names in creation and causes for heaven and hell. On the second plane, in the sky, the second plane. So that's where every ghost guy goes.
Thank you. Jennifer.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
I was more trying to lower my hand than turn on my microphone. I loved this email, Jeff, when you sent it. It just gave me so much to think about. My thought was this is about 5 weeks of conversation. But the one thing that hit me was you have a sentence where you said, over time, it became vitally important to discern what I was actually capable of in living up to Baba's ideals. And that's been kind of, ever since I got it, something I've been thinking about in pleasing him, how I live up to the expectation of how I can love Baba and how I can live a life that he would be happy for me to live in service to him. And man, do I ever fall short. But I think one of the differences is I see it. I didn't used to see it. And then sometimes I hear it, if I'm with someone who's talking and I can feel this push in me to, make maybe not the more negative comment about their opinion or whatever, and I hear him saying, stay silent. Or and that's just one recent example. So I think in some way of pleasing Baba for me recently has been in hearing him help me, and without me asking for help sometimes. I hear this voice that gives me some assistance of, this is what, if you want to please me, this is what you can do. Don't say what you're thinking you're going to say, or something like that. And also I feel like instead of beating myself up when I do make mistakes, to know that in my heart of heart, I'm trying to do my very best to please Baba. And honestly, there's times during the day where I forget him completely. And I'm always kind of shocked when that happens to me because I think, oh, Baba is the most important thing in my life. And I sit at my desk and his picture is right there. I see him constantly and in my office and everywhere I am. And yet I continue to forget him. And so I've got a long way to go. But I felt some relief in reading this email, recognizing that I think Baba is still pleased with my progress, even though sometimes it seems like I'll have a million more lifetimes here, but I just try to work on it day by day. So that's it.
Oh,
Thanks,
beautiful.
everybody.
You know, one of the things here, the young people that come, I mean, the one of the things they suffer from is they feel they have to fulfill the Baba's ideals at the highest level, and they're just not going to be able to. They have to kind of find out just what they're capable of next. You know, you're just not going to be completely honest. You're not going to be able to control your anger completely. So, well, what are you able to do? And because they suffer a lot from feeling they're disobeying Baba, they're falling short, and Baba doesn't. I don't feel Baba wants us to beat ourselves up over that. You know, to be kind of realistic about what we are really capable of.
Jeff,
Well,
are you
yeah.
ready to share yours?
Okay. You know, like I say, I didn't exactly. I haven't shared this before. Back in the late 70s, I did something that I would say I disobeyed Baba. It seemed like a small thing, but it created such a psychic shock in me that my head was like numb. I mean, there was some weird sensation, and something really backfired. And I thought, I kind of I would go to the lagoon cabin, I'd say Baba's name and everything, and I just stay. I felt like I was wearing all the time, 24 hours a day, a motorcycle helmet. I mean, it was just like so strange. And a week went by, 2 weeks, a month go by, it's still there. And uh, and I spent so much time, while I'm working and everything, but when I had spare time going to the lagoon cabin to try to dissolve this. After 6 months, I finally went to India, and there was the tomb, and I tried to dissolve this in the tomb. I mean, I remember someone saying, God, Jeff, when you're in there, I feel like it's so heavy. It was really. And on this particular trip, Erich was in Pune with his brother who was close to dying. And so normally I would bring these things up with Erich, but he wasn't there. But I did catch him on the way as I was going back to the West. I went to the hospital, and lo and behold, they had me sing a song. I was not in any state to do that. But I said, Erich, I just need to talk to you briefly, but I just need to. And so he took me into a little alcove there. And I said, Erich, I disobeyed Baba, and it has really affected me so profoundly. And I don't know what to do. I'm trying to, and I explained what I just did to you. And there wasn't much time, but he embraced me, and I could feel the great warmth of his embrace. And he said, if you never do wrong, how will he be able to exercise his compassion? So anyway, I came back. I came back to the center and everything. It was still bothering me, this sensation, for the entire year. And I came back the second year, and it was still there. I couldn't dissolve it, and so I was sitting with Erich about halfway through my trip. We were sitting, leaning against the wall in Mandalay Hall, and the morning session had kind of ended, so everybody had gone out, and I was just, it was just me sitting next to Erich. And I said, Erich, why did this have to happen? This has just messed up my life. I mean, would it help? Maybe I should just tell everybody what I did and everything. And Erich said, no, don't do that. And but I said, why did this happen? Why does, and Erich, we're just sitting, on the floor there. He says, but you've grown. And I said, Erich, what do you base that on? And he said, now you can't hold your head so high. So there's the 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Now you can't hold your head so high. And that was, right from there, it began to all dissolve, So that was my little excursion. Like I say, I thought, oh my God, I'll have to, now that I wrote about obedience, now I'm stuck. But anyway, that was, and I would say that most of my empathy in this life comes from that moment.
Hey, Jeff, you remind me of something that when you were talking about, maybe you were referring to young people, but I don't think it necessarily is an age thing, about people who feel they're falling short of pleasing Baba or being obedient.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned in your letter about people's definitions of how one would obey Baba. And then we have this thing about doing your best. The idea of doing your best. I think that definition of best indicates something that is not necessarily appropriate to think about, because what is the best? I would say if you were going to place a grade on it, which is maybe what people might do, and maybe I've done it myself, you think you need to do an A+, because that would be the best you could do. And if you don't do an A+ job at obeying, then you've fallen short. And I mean, that's not that great. But is Baba expecting or wanting you to do A+ work every time or anything like that? I mean, if you do, you do. But really, I mean, a C is pretty darn good, I think. So, I mean, average obedience. I think Baba's going to enjoy it. He'll be pleased.
I mean, I think, you try your best, and if you fall short, you kind of live with that, and you learn how to forgive yourself and or adjust and everything like that. You just keep, I mean, there was something like Michelangelo. It's not so much that people have two ideals, their ideals are too high and they fail to achieve them, but their ideals are too low and they satisfy them. You know what I mean? In other words, Baba has that right before us, but I think if you get too wrapped up in how well you're doing and not thinking of Baba, then you're thinking way too much of yourself, and we all have an opportunity to think of Baba and remember him, and not be thinking about, oh, I'm falling short. I've done it. Oh heck, I got to do better, and it gets to be a little bit too much of our own little melodrama, I think. So,
From
okay. Oh, good. Here we
Alan.
have. You know, you just
Hey.
surfaced from,
Yeah, Wow. Yeah. I just am surfacing from. I had 3 days of a very high fever that wouldn't break, and today's the first day that it's not there full on. So I'm grateful for that. But what I wanted to share was how this fever came on really suddenly. It was like I was at work, I was doing all the things, I was going places, I was doing things. I was too busy really to think about Baba. And or was so I thought. I was just like, I gotta figure things out. And suddenly I got home and I was like, I'm really all it just was like a light switch went off. And I was like, I just am not feeling well. And I took my temperature and I was like at 102 already. And I laid down and I just was getting all the symptoms and really deep in it for a couple hours, and I was fighting the feeling, and I was really mainly upset. Like I've been so healthy. I've been working out and doing this, drinking water, Baba, and I didn't, I just was talking to Baba for, while I was in the midst of this firestorm of physical, mental, emotional suffering. And I was like, why are you doing this to me? Why this right now? And then it got to a point where it was so painful that I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Could we just take it easy a little bit? He's like, come on, let's just take it easy. And then it got to even worse than that. And I couldn't really make an exclaim of anything. It was more like, okay, Bob, what what I couldn't even ask a question. It was just I just suddenly I feel that Baba made me listen. And so then he was there. And it was like, I'm not talking about, I mean, maybe it was a fever dream, sure, but he was there. He was there with me. And I felt him put his hand on my chest because I was so scared. It was just such an intense onset. And I wasn't able, it was hard to breathe, it's hard to see, it was like so intense. And I just felt him put his hand on my chest. And I remember I just leaned my head over, and I could feel his hand. And I was like, I didn't even care if this is a dream or a fever dream or whatever you call it. Like, I'm so glad I can feel you. And and it was there where I felt that Baba was Baba was he was just he was showing me all the things currently in my life that are the most embarrassing and the most things I wouldn't say to people. Things that are the deepest down things that I think that I'm going to take and hide from Baba. Just a little bit of this over here. You're not going to find out, Baba. Baba won't see this. All those things in my life, he just was showing them to me, and he still loved me. I was like, you can't. There's no way you're gonna love me. Don't show me that. You're gonna love me through this. You're gonna love me because. But no. And it was just so still, and so, and then the pain was so physically so intense. It turned up so much that he said that I was getting scared, and then I think he said something along the lines of, "So what if your body drops?" And when he did that, I felt I just felt so much peace. just I just literally felt so much peace. I was like, you know what? So what? I'm here with you, actually. And I just, for some reason, there was some part of me that could have this space from the Alan that was worried about all the things that I've been worried about to this place of being with him, that's where I really have wanted to be and want to be. And I just was like, whatever, I just, yes, what is it that you, and really from there, I just felt this sense that he was showing me that, you know, even if you have these fears, even if you have all the things happening, like what if you don't get this, what if you don't do this with your job, what if you don't, what if your wife dies, what if you don't this, what about kid, what about this, how do I figure all these worries, well, I don't want to die, I don't want my mom to, all the crap, it was boiling. And he showed me, it was like, and isn't it, he did it in such a playful way, only Baba could do this specifically for me. Isn't it so beautiful that all of this, that you get to play in all of this? It was, when I say it out loud now, it sounds kind of crazy, but I felt the joy of I get to live a human lifetime, I get to have these beautiful things and horrible things and wonderful things happen, and people living and people dying and all these beautiful things happening, and I get to partake in this with him, and that it's all written, and I get to live with him in it, and I get to play in this dream that I don't remember that it was all written, that it's a surprise. I don't know the next step, and sometimes the next step's so painful, but there's always that kick and that kiss. It always gives the kick and the kiss. I think Phyllis Frederick said that. And so anyways, I just wanted to share that it was, despite the incredible pain, it was like the obedience part was that I could remember that who is my master? Are my fears, my worries, my tensions, my everything, are my thoughts, is that my master, or is Meher Baba my master? As Peter Nordine once said to me. Are your feelings your master, or is Meher Baba?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that that experience was churning in my mind when the subject of obedience and Meher Baba came up. Thank you.
I like that. But Peter once said to you when you were feeling bad about yourself, who is your master? Is it your feelings are your master, or is Baba your master? And that comes up in falling short. We can make such a big deal of it. Hey, anybody else? We're getting down kind of to the whatever what's it? I can wait.
The witching hour.
Yeah. Anybody else feel like venturing out?
All right, Jeff, I'll say a few words.
Yeah, go ahead. Good.
So this subject immediately brought to mind my father, of course, his journey with Baba, his struggles initially when he first came to Baba, his weaknesses that he was struggling to overcome, and how Baba said to him exactly the 1 step forward and 2 steps back kind of thing. That, my father would say to him, even though how much can I do? Like, what can I do to overcome this when, the ancient rishis and the yogis of such high order, even they cannot, obliterate this. Who am I to, what efforts can I do to overcome this? And Baba says to him, but you must try. If you try, it's when you try, that's when I step in to help you. And that's when, but you must try, make that initial effort. So that was the first thing that came to me. And the other thing, I just came across this quote after I read your email the other day, Jeff. I was pondering on all this. And then I come across this quote that came my way, and it set me thinking even more. And it says, the first thing every morning is to say a sincere prayer from you to God to make you understand him and his will. God, make me understand you and your will. And I kept thinking to myself, the closer you come to understanding him and his will, the easier it would follow that you would be able to obey him. Is it not true? So that's my little share. The more you understand God, make me understand you and your will. Think about that. So, yeah. Jai
Yeah.
Baba. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as we draw closer to Baba, we get a sense of what he would like us to do.
Yes.
Not
Exactly.
going to the books. You get the actual visceral feeling.
Right.
You get
So,
to respond in this way. Yeah. Intuition is just, I mean, Baba said it's his gift to this age, and
yeah.
have like a direct communication with him. People say, oh, well, the Mandalay, I used to hear this in Mandalay Hall. Well, you Mandalay, you know, Bob would tell you what to do,
Mhm.
everything. But they'd say, well, they might say, they might tell you what to do, but they didn't tell you how to do it. You know what I mean? You have to go and get some passports, you know, from, you know, with the customs and you have to, or the embassy, but it tell you how to do it. You got to figure out, you know, how to do it and what buttons you have to push to get some, you know, get some people to act on it, you know. So it seems like, yeah. Oh, and what if he says, well, go home and visit your parents? Well, I mean, okay, he told you what to do, but then what do you do when you're with your parents, and how is that gonna be? Anyway, any last minute things? I know Patty usually has various things to to share, but you can pass.
Actually, I was sitting here thinking about how valuable this has been, and I think when Richard was speaking and about the intensity of opening to love, and it can't be done if you're alone all the time without any reflection back at you, is what I think. And in all those early years of loving, knowing of Baba from 1969 on for me, I did not have the capacity or awareness to even think of obedience, because I was just lost. I was lost in the infatuation, the romance, the honeymoon phases, whatever you want to call them. And I actually sat down and read, you know, the discourses, and I said to him straight out, I can't do any of this. I mean, literally, don't count on me for this. I knew it was beyond me. And now, you know, over the years, with the increased awareness and my efforts and effort and grace, particularly in this group and the other groups I participate with, it has expanded my heart. And you know, even in those early years, I was never in my heart. I mean, I felt Baba in somewhere there, but I could never have identified it. So really, honestly, we need each other. We need the reflection back. We need the experiences. And I have never not felt that I was loved by Baba. I was always picked up. I mean, my story someday will get out here, but he literally has been coddling me all the way up as though I was, you know, a toddler. And in this lifetime, particularly, even around all the Mandalay and the years I even would resist their love while I was even in India for 6 months at a time, and you know, decide to go out and have a beer in town because it was a lot more fun than trying to think about God, and you know, all the things that one does out of ignorance, and he's always there for you, always. So you know, obedience is all. I'm only touching on that now a little bit because I can. And in those years, I couldn't. I really knew nothing about it. And part of that was there was no, other than the Mandali and my trips to India, and the people that had met Baba themselves were the only impressions that I got of what obedience could be. I mean, my primary family, all the stuff and growing up and everything was very opposite of that. And it was actually pretty torturous. So, now I can say I know a little bit about it, but in the early years, it was impossible. So, and I'm very grateful for all of you and hearing everyone's impressions of what it is for them now, because it's a journey and definitely a step forward and a few steps back, and sometimes disappearing down another alley. I mean, that happens to me. So anyway, I love all of you, and I'm so grateful that Baba has us in his net, and we at least can express it to each other. So Jai Baba, thank you guys.
Very well said. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 more hands and then call it a night. Ralph, go for it.
Got a hat, but I don't know. Okay, let's go for, let's go for Janet.
Well, what happened to Ralph? Sorry, I called on Ralph.
Disappeared in this hat, I think.
No, he's there. Ralph, are you there?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Then we'll go to Janet. Ralph, unmute, please.
A quick one. I was going to request Goher read the short quote of Baba again.
Oh, sure. Baba says, the first thing every morning is to say a sincere prayer from you to God to make you understand him and his will. God, make me understand you and your will. Jai Baba.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful. Janet?
Thank you, Dora. Jai Baba.
Yeah, I can't find it right now, but my Baba birthday quote was and I just thought it'd be kind of it was incredibly helpful for me, but it was something like, and this is total paraphrasing, but it's like Baba wants you to enjoy yourself, to have a good time. Just remember that just remember that this is Baba enjoying himself. And I just, because I mean, it's easy for me to think that to obey Baba. I mean, I wasn't a Catholic, but I was a Protestant, and there's just enough programming there that that there's a residue of God being a disciplinarian, should we say. And like Alan was saying about Baba, about hearing Baba say, I accept you as you are and love that. And I just, it was just so freeing for me to read that quote and think, because I can get to the point where I make the path narrow and rigid rather than wide and open and playful and smiling and humorous. I mean, there's not that there aren't many things that affect me in a way that difficult things, but I just it was just such a freeing thing to read, that quote, and I appreciated it so much. And I just wanted to say that because of this whole idea of obedience. It kind of like what Jeff said is that when he did something that he didn't feel good about at all, and that we know that conscience and the giving it to Baba so we can feel the freedom of forgiveness from the other side, not only our forgiveness of other people, but Baba's forgiveness of us for being where we are on our path, and allowing us this freedom to, again, something like what Alan was saying, freedom to really engage in this life with a smile. And so I kind of went on and on. Sorry about that, but I just wanted to bring that up. So thanks.
Yeah, you know, I think Baba's the only avatar who said to have fun. F-U-N. You know, I mean, that doesn't have to be so, you know, so serious and dire and dour and all of that. But, you know, I think, I mean, be around Mani, you know, she was so much fun. I mean, she wasn't like, or Khorshid, or, you know, they enjoyed life, and weren't, it wasn't so heavily serious. Yeah. So have we got any kind of a final quote? Oh, well, let's see. I had a quote, but I think it's disappeared.
Bob Jager has raised his hand. Maybe he has a quote.
Yeah, I've got a very short one. Thank you all. This has been so wonderful. I don't know what to say. It's very, very touching, and I couldn't really decide what to say about all this, but the quote is sort of something that I found very useful over the last months. I was reading Awakenings by Bao Kalchuri, and Baba said, if you are busy with worldly duties, I should say, remember me before starting any work. In the morning, say to me, oh, Baba, I'm starting my day. Please guide me so that I may not do anything against your wish. Be with me and give me the strength to follow your wish in whatever I do and whatever I think. And then, just before going to bed, say, oh, Baba, whatever I thought, whatever I spoke, and whatever I did during the day, I offer at your feet. Please accept this and forgive me if I have unknowingly done anything against your wish. And sometimes I add, if I have knowingly done anything against your wish. So.
Yeah, beautiful.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Oh, Janet, did you
Yeah, I found that quote, so I'd like to read it.
And then after we'll have a few moments of silence. Yeah.
Do not say it is not spiritual to enjoy innocent pleasure. Make the best of everything. Enjoy all. Don't discard anything, but think it is Baba, Baba who enjoys.
Jai Baba. Thank you. All that.
Jai Baba. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Wonderful shares.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Dinku went to the Therapod after many years because she had to look after her ailing dog. On a 10-point scale, Dinku, how was it?
It was 20.
Oh,
Fantastic.
I'd like to hear more of Patty's experience that she's been, with Baba so long. That'd be nice.
Hey, oh yeah, well, I'm thinking of it. Does anybody would like to share their coming to Baba, their kind of life with Baba for next week? Anybody?
Hint, 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 PC.
Yeah.
I really do want to share. I just have a lot on my plate right now. But it literally, I've been working it up in me to try and create some space to get it a little more condensed, because I'm afraid it would take days. There's been so much that has been gifted to me in my life through these last 50 years, and I don't want it to be taken to my grave, so to speak, without having imparted a little bit of it. So just give me a little more space, and I'll come forward with it a little later, hopefully soon. If you don't mind.
What about Tony? Are you? It's very hard to boil down your life.
Yeah.
In such a short time, and I don't know. What's your feeling? And it has to do with your schedule too.
What's that?
And it also has to do with your schedule. How busy.
Yeah, the reason I haven't been raising my hand is it's a tricky question for me, because I've told people my Baba story, which is in the book that I published, but that's like it's a wonderfully cinematic thing, and I'm currently just writing the stuff that gives it some background, and I'm not even sure what my story is. I know Baba came to me at the moment he dropped his body. I know that he put me on a mission to search for a woman and the meaning of a word that he spoke, though I didn't know who it was, but it was a beautiful word. I could tell that story, but it's I'm learning other parts of the background of it. What Baba was. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do that. It's a lovely story. But it's not the whole thing. It's just this 10-year period, kind of.
Yeah. You can do it any way you want, and you can, just some of the highlights that were most consequential in your life with Baba. And we can get maybe Marion sometime too. She spends most of her time just walking around hugging trees at Central Park.
Yeah, she's got time.
She's got plenty of time.
I'd like to volunteer.
Oh, Tina, very good.
Yeah. So,
wow.
So, Tony, you up for next week?
I can do that. That's the 10th.
Okay. And then we'll see how we go with Tina.
Tony seems hesitant. He doesn't seem happy about it yet. We've never heard Marion's story, and I'm not sure Tina's.
Who seemed hesitant?
Tony.
Ralph is speaking.
I'm Tony. I wasn't hesitant.
Yeah.
No, I just agreed. I'm writing it in my book.
Oh, you're right. You feel good about it. Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge, but so challenges are okay.
Yeah. And Tony, send me an email, just a little that I can kind of introduce, without telling you all the stories, but a little bit about your, you grew up in New York and you were, you weren't able to get rid of your Bronx accent or whatever,
Not Bronx, Astoria all the way. Yeah, no, I can send Jeff an email. Tony's
okay.
story.
Yeah, that just. Then we've got Tina and Marion in the offing, and then.
Well, Marion's not very willing. She's making these terrible faces over there.
That's it.
Feeling,
She
Marion.
looks like that when she's happy.
It's very hard to to get certain highlights that that give a flavor of what you've gone through with Baba. And, yeah. Well, okay. I think.
Also, Jeff, if I can reach you by email, I hadn't thought about that. There's something I'm personally to write to you about. We're trying to get to Myrtle Beach, Zeke and Elena, but there are some difficulties relating to Elena's care, and maybe we can find a way around it. So I'll give you I'll give you a note about that also.
Yeah, like a caretaker or something that could also help.
Yeah, there are a few things. I would say them out here, but yeah, there are a few things that would make it possible.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I remember. Hey, we got Alan over there. I think there's some other person.
They're both out, laying down, sick.
Infirmary or something?
I think you're muted, Ellen.
Oh, I said, we're just dragging the party along here. Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. But yeah, I was gonna say, have you I'm sure you have, but I wanted to read Adi K. Irani's prayer. I don't know why.
Like right now?
Yeah, I felt called to read that for some reason. And I also forgot to mention my story that I've been taking my temperature like probably every 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes I've been taking my temperature, and in that experience of time that I was telling you, where I was talking to Baba, when I was taking my temperature, that's the only time it went down. It wasn't, I didn't have a temperature. And he told me, and another thing, he said, don't worry, you're gonna wake up tomorrow and you're gonna feel 100. I said, Baba, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna feel it's gonna be gone. I'm not gonna have anything. He's like, it's gonna be gone. You trust that. And I trusted that. and the next morning I woke up and it was the worst I felt in like the whole year. And I just laughed. I was like feeling worse and I was laughing about it. I was like, yeah, but it's just
that was in Baba's language, not
Baba's
our language.
Yeah, Baba's language. Anyways,
okay.
I felt so much.
8:30, time for Jeff to go to bed.
Okay, can I read the prayer? Is that okay? Adi's prayer.
Stop being a pusher.
I like being pusher.
He has to go to bed.
Jeff, do you want to hear this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Tell that later.
Pressured by Alan.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Adi's prayer. Beloved Meher Baba, bless us all so that in the stress and strain of our daily life and the fluctuations of our mind, we learn to relax wholly and wholeheartedly and float on the ocean of your love and call for your breath of joy, your breeze of compassion, and your wind of strength to flood into every fiber of our bodies, every corner
of our mind,
and every space
in our heart,
to cleanse us of all our impurity and make us worthy of your love, of your obedience, of your service, and above all, your pleasure.
Your pleasure.
Hey, Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Such a wonderful prayer.
Okay, you all just kind of disappear.
Bye. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all. Jai Baba.
Night.
Yeah, good night, guys.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
Bye, everybody. Feel better, Alan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Aging benefit. Good.
Bye.
Bye.
I got it first and then he
Yeah.
got it for me.
Baba.
Bye, Jeff. Love you.
Yeah. I think Anita was just in Maribad, right?
Honey.
Huh?
Muted.
Okay,
You're
good.
good, Jeff.
About 3 weeks ago.
Oh, 3, yeah, I heard.